Hey, welcome back. This is Carlos coming back at you with more dating advice tips from datingadviceguru.com. And today we're going to get into the relationship. We're going to talk about how to build trust in your relationship with him. 7 ways. Now, you probably know already that the most important part of your relationship, next to your communication, is the level of trust you have with your man. If communication is handling cash and handing it back and forth, transactions going back and forth, then trust is your bank account balance. And without a nice balance in your account, the trust will not flow between you, and it needs to flow. If you don't keep a healthy balance, you're going to have frequent bouts of jealousy, insecurity, always wondering if he's really devoted to you. So today I'm going to explain how to build up that trust balance in your account with microtransactions using communication. Build trust. Number 1 tip is be trustable. Now, I know this one should be totally obvious, but you have to start by coming from a position of being trustable to your partner first. You can't take trust for granted, and you can't assume your partner views you as being trustable. These days, we all seem to have some sort of trust issue from a previous relationship or our childhood. So take the time to really deposit your own emotional money in your relationship. Demonstrate that you're trustable. Make sure you keep your promises and you follow through on the things you say you're going to do. Sure, every so often we have to withdraw a little bit, but that's why you build that balance up. Build trust. Number 2, trust but verify. Yeah, it's a famous saying from Ronald Reagan back in the 80s. It came from the Russians who said this, and it's a great saying actually, because there's 2 sides to the trust coin. You can trust, and that trust can be repaid. You can also trust someone and feel that maybe there's something going on in the background. Maybe he's a little too secretive, or stories don't seem to jive with what he's saying or doing, and, well, you don't want to be the fool and get suckered in by him taking advantage of your trust. At the same time, you also don't want to be suspicious or paranoid unduly and then undermine the confidence in the relationship. It is a tricky balance. You might need to turn up your radar for their stories and just learn to trust your gut when it comes to verifying what they're saying. Build trust. Number 3, be careful of condemnation and self-righteousness. Ooh, huge words. I feel like a preacher. Most of the trust issues in our life come from our childhood. Did our parents give us a secure base from which to experience life, or did they regularly fall through on the promises and leave us feeling abandoned? Well, if you have these kinds of trust issues, one of the easiest ways to fall back on a habit is to feel mistrustful of other people in our life to protect ourselves. One of the ways that we demonstrate this is by taking the opposite stance. If we can't control how trustworthy other people are, well, we can surely set ourselves up to be perfect people when we condemn everybody else who breaks our rules for trust. Because after all, if I push you away first, you can't hurt me. But in truth, what we end up doing is making it so the other person can't see any vulnerability in us. And then they give up trying to be vulnerable to us. Take a look at your own feelings about betrayal and feelings of self-righteousness. See if maybe you aren't carrying some scars around from past relationships. Build trust. Number 4, watch out for the taboo. This one is huge. If there's one thing that's going to definitely erode the quality of your relationship, it's the willingness to keep secrets from your partner. Any secrets. In order for a relationship to truly thrive, there can be nothing you wouldn't talk about with your partner. I mean, nothing. There can't be any taboo topics, things you just don't talk about because it's simply not done. And this includes things like sexual fantasies, talking about feelings of the relationship of any kind, feelings about money, about how you're raising the kids, complicated feelings and emotions that come up in the relationship, emotions you tend to cover up or avoid, and really anything I didn't mention there that you might run into. Remember one of my sayings, nothing in a relationship takes care of itself. And no, love isn't all you need for a quality relationship. If it were, then why didn't all those relationships where you loved him so deeply, why didn't those work out? Remember, if it's anything that involves you and your partner that might affect that relationship, you have to be able to talk it out. Build trust. Number 5, fool me never. Well, there's a saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Meaning that if I get fooled by somebody, well, the first time was their fault, taking advantage of me, but the second time was my own ignorance and, well, laziness. Well, I have a saying, and it's just for relationships. It says, fool me never. I don't think you should allow yourself to be fooled by anybody, especially early in the relationship. That first time they fool us and break trust, it's because we weren't attentive enough at the start. Maybe we were snowed over by the attraction or the lust, but you can't afford to let that happen. That's the time in your relationship. You have to keep your eyes open and be aware of what's going on. So again, I want to invite you to pay attention to your intuition. and the way your body signals you about this guy. You're going to receive some very clear signals that will tell you how trusting you can be. Now, of course, the best way to enter a new relationship or stay in an old one is to be completely transparent with yourself about your level of stuckness or the amount of stuff that you're still carrying around and bringing into your relationship. You have to get rid of the baggage you're carrying because you might spend most of the time in a new relationship having to take care of yourself, and that ain't gonna work. Here's a little secret. Men sense when a woman is more self-involved and doesn't have the time or focus to nurture him. So how do you get yourself ready? How do you make yourself ready for Mr. Right when he appears so that you won't miss out on the dream of your soulmate connection? Stay here with me. Stay on this channel. Number one, make sure you like this video. Of course, number two, subscribe so you keep getting all this great advice. And number three, leave me your polite and, I guess, respectful comments below. Yeah, I would like to see the internet clean itself up and start getting back to respecting people. This is Cavallo from datingadviceguru.com. As always, I want you to live and love with passion.